Welcome to the program. I'm Mark Imperial. This segment's being brought to you by booksgrowbusiness.com. It's the place where busy professionals get their books done and published to educate consumers, grow their businesses, and to leave a legacy. I'm doing a series of spotlights on remarkable business intermediaries and brokers from across the country. And joining me on this segment is Robert Cunio. He's with Transworld Business Advisors in San Diego. Robert, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much, Mark.
Robert, tell us a little bit about your work and specifically tell us who are the types of clients that you specialize in helping.
Right. The work is helping people to find an exit strategy for whenever they're ready to sell their business and to, at that point in time, market that business and to be able to find qualified buyers that would be appropriate to take over that business.
These business owners have been running their businesses and growth, day in, day out. When it comes to selling, how many of them really know where to start?
Not too many. So it's always interesting to understand the seller and what their experience may have been. But I would say 90% of the time, the sellers are not experienced because it's been their passion for many years, decades sometimes, and it's something that they don't really have any insight into how to go forward and accomplish.
That was definitely a motivation for this series, is shedding a light on that process. What are some of the most common beliefs that people have regarding selling their businesses? Do they have any preconceived notions, or maybe they've heard some myths or misconceptions around selling a business? What are the most common ones?
I think that it's going to take much less time than it often does, and that it's going to be something that they might be able to do themselves. That's another misconception, I would say, because they don't often realize how much time and vetting it takes to find the qualified buyers. So it's often misunderstood, just in terms of the types of work that are required for making a sale happen, and the process along the way, just in terms of the initial marketing, finding and vetting qualified buyers, making sure everything's done confidentially for them. And when you have an offer, what is involved in the negotiation of that offer, and also how much time it takes to go through due diligence and the whole process to get through an escrow and close.
So for the business owners, you mentioned timeline and how long it takes. How long does it typically take, and how far in advance should business owners really start to plan to sell their business?
Well, business owners should start to plan, I would say 1 to 2 years before they're ready to move on. And one of the things that's really important is that their books and records are clean, and that they can show a history of progressive growth and also profitability. And it's very important for them to realize, it takes about, on average, 8 months to a year to sell a business. So it's going to be a process along the way, that in order to make this happen in the right fashion, all of the steps need to be kind of sequentially followed.
When these owners are running their businesses, from day to day, I'd imagine that it's a huge time saver to work with an intermediary. And a lot of owners don't really realize that your services exist. Can you kind of give us a 10,000-foot view of what it's like working with a business broker like yourself, and what you can save the business owner from, and how you can help them sell their business?
Yeah. Fundamentally, it comes down to, we don't want the business owner to be distracted by all of the activities involved in the sale, and that they should be operating their business and focused on that to make sure that it's going to be sustained in a way that is going to be attractive to buyers, and then let the rest of the steps, as I described previously, be something that we handle, and they don't have to think about on a day-to-day basis. So a business broker brings a lot of value in terms of, just saving them the time and the aggravation related to going through those many steps that are involved in getting a business sold.
So we're coming out of a pandemic now, and this pandemic's triggered a lot of folks to finally say, I think it's time to sell that business. But at the same time, they're wondering, hey, we're coming out of a pandemic. Is it a good time to sell a business? What have you found in your market? What's the economy like? And is it a good opportunity to sell a business today?
Right now is a very good time to sell a business. Coming off the pandemic, there was a lot of turbulence the first year or so when that hit. But as businesses began to reopen and the economy was in a state where interest rates are low and there's a lot of money available, a lot of buyers who kind of had an epiphany about 9-to-5 office jobs came to the surface and were interested in new opportunities. And what we've been seeing for the past couple of years is that sellers are receiving a premium price for the sale of their business. And also it's easier for buyers to obtain that business because of still low interest rates, even though they've risen recently, but it's still a low interest rate environment for SBA loans and other ways to acquire. So it's never been a better time. Industry would agree for selling a business.
Robert, what inspired you to get into this field and help business owners sell their businesses? How did you get started?
Yeah, I worked in corporate America for over 30 years, and I was involved on the finance side of things for that major, Fortune 500 company. And I was also brought into lots of different acquisitions and divestitures for that corporation. So as the company acquired and divested different parts of its business, I was brought in, and I always enjoyed that aspect of my job. But I got at a point where I was ready to move on, and I retired from that job, but I wanted to still do something on a smaller scale. So what I do now is not Fortune 500 specific, it's more small and middle range size businesses.
Terrific. Before I ask you my last question, Robert, is there anything that I didn't think to ask you that you feel is important to share with any business owner that's considering selling their business in today's economy?
Yeah, I just think understanding the different options that one has in the marketplace for business brokerage services. It's important to understand and maybe ask about Transworld Business Advisors and the types of value that particular brand brings to the industry and to the sellers.
Robert, I really appreciate this. For business owners listening now that know they need to get this in order and if they'd like to speak with you, how do they find you and connect with you?
Yeah, tworld.com/San Diego Central is my webpage, and all of my information is on that.
This has been terrific. I really appreciate you stopping by and sharing with my audience today, and I wish you continued success for you and for all of your clients.
Thanks so much, Mark. Have a great weekend.
That was Robert Cunio with Transworld Business Advisors of San Diego. And this segment's been brought to you by booksgrowbusiness.com. It's the place where busy professionals get their books done and published to educate consumers, grow their businesses, and to leave a legacy. That's all for now. I'm Mark Imperial, and thanks for joining me.